In the distant future, humanity escapes reality via verses, virtual reality universes, that have been developed by Facebook, are powerful mega corporations, and these businesses are willing to do anything and everything to gain market share. And since, of course, in this game you work for one of those companies, your mission is to become the ruler of Neo Paris in virtual revolution. Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows. And today we're reviewing the game Virtual Revolution from Studio H from Hachette. In this area influence game, players are working for a mega corporation trying to gain dominance in Neo Paris.
This game is from designer Guy Roger Duvert, and it takes about 90 minutes to play. We want to share with you guys our experiences with it. We're going to give you a quick run through of what the game is like. And then we do also want to mention that we want to thank Hachette for providing us with this review copy when we were at Essenspiel.
In the game, players send their directors into boroughs in Neo Paris trying to gain influence.
They may use their actions to do things like recruit agents, build a server, or create a verse, which may be brought online if the requirements are met to gain in-game scoring.
Corruption may be gained along the way, and the consequences might be steep when the Interpol raids happen each round.
Necro-terrorists attack each round as well, and the mega-corporations that are greedy and in the spotlight will be heavily penalized.
After 5 rounds, the player with the most points wins.
Alright, so before we even jump into our thoughts on the game, one interesting fact that you should know, that I thought was super cool, is that this game, Virtual Revolution, is based on a movie that came out in 2016 by the same name, which takes place in the same world, and was written and directed by the designer of this game. So, if you're looking for a highly thematic game that all ties together and has this whole future full universe, then keep listening, because it's interesting that somebody could do all those things to me in my brain.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of movie directors who are also board game designers.
Yeah, pretty slick.
One thing I really liked about this game is the rules are simplistic enough that they can fit most everything you're going to do on your turn as iconography on your player board. There's some other things obviously going on in the rules, but for your turn you can follow along all the icons on your board to know exactly what you need to do. It does make it easy to learn and teach others that you're playing with. So on your turn, you can simply place out a director, and then you can influence that space by adding, moving, or taking off discs on the space, and then you can take one of the 5 actions at the bottom of your board.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say simplistic, but I would say that the iconography in the game is really good. It does walk you through it. You're putting your cards at the top and the bottom and the left and the right, and there's spaces for everything on the board. As we mentioned in the instructions, or as we were walking through it, this game is an area control, area influence game. However, I would say it's definitely not like a typical area control game. There's a lot going on in this game. Like a lot of modern strategy board games, it actually features a lot of different things. So you've got hand management, you've got kind of a tableau building thing going on. You're going to be the cards that you recruit, the agents that you recruit will be one-time use per round. Not really. There's actually a secondary use you can use on them. There's also the ability to tuck them under your main actions to make them more powerful throughout the course of the game. There's a lot of balance in this game. I liked the tension of most of the actions in the game are going to cause you to take corruption in the game. And those corruption cards start stacking up. Once you get a hand, they don't affect you at all until you have a hand of 5 or more. And then at the end of the round, all 5 or however many you have are going to trigger, which is scary because some of them are terrible. However, if you play your cards right, if you get lucky, if you're able to get rid of the ones that you don't need, it's also possible for when that raid happens and Interpol comes after you and you lay out and you're it's a beautiful feeling. You play the card and you're like, this one doesn't affect me, this one doesn't affect me, this one doesn't affect me, this one does affect me, but it doesn't matter because I already spent all my money, and this one doesn't affect me. Haha, everybody, I made it through. And being able to organize your cards in that way is great.
Yeah. One other thing, while area control is a portion of this game, I am not good at area control games typically, but you can still do very well in the game as long as you manage some of the other aspects. So managing your agents that you gain and gain strategic ones that give you some great boosts for your other actions. And then also the verses that you can pick up along the way. They do have a requirement, most of them, of how you can activate them and get them online. But then when you do, you get some additional endgame scoring, which can be pretty powerful if you can get lots of these online and ready to go for endgame scoring.
You do also start the game with an end-game goal in mind. That's going to help you kind of steer which directions you're going throughout the course of the game. You get 2, you pick 1, you keep it. There are lots of ways to get points in the game. So your servers are going to be worth points. The areas that you control are going to be worth points. The goals that you achieve are going to be worth points. Your money is points at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely... We played a game just recently where I don't think you maybe had one district that you controlled. It was a 4-player game. Everybody had several districts. She had like one tiny one. Mm-hmm. They're all the same size. And still crushed it, like doubled half of our scores because her in-game goal worked well with the verses that she was getting, and she was able to achieve a lot of things.
Yeah, I was strategic with getting the things that I needed that paired well with other things in the game. So worked out nice.
Yeah, that really is the game. Like synergizing the different things that you get so that the cards that you're drafting are valuable. Sometimes you just get lucky too. Those agents are going to be located out on the board in different locations each round, so they don't replenish. There's only 5 per round that you can recruit. And so sometimes the ones come up that are right next to the territory that you want because you do have to be adjacent to them in order to claim them. And sometimes you get exactly what you needed exactly when you need it. Other times you're struggling and working and fighting and getting really punished by the thing that happens at the end of each round.
The necroterrorist. So the very last thing that happens at the end of the round is after you've dealt with the Interpol raids and corruption, there is a terrorist attack. And that is going to punish the corporations who have gotten very greedy and are really high on the income track for the round. And so whoever's at the end, the lowest portion of income, will get a bonus. Everyone will have some type of global thing they'll have to take care of, and you're able to mitigate that. But then whoever is the highest on the income track will have to suffer an additional consequence. So not jumping out in the lead is probably also a great strategy.
And a lot of those things change based on your player count too. It seems more punishing in a single player game. Basically, it's a catch the leader mechanic, right?
Yeah,
so you're playing that card. The guy who's in the last
game
gets a bonus. Who is in the front gets a punishment. You can pay some shields to block them, although those aren't the easiest things to get sometimes. I will say that in our different gameplay experiences, I actually liked 3 or 4 players better. Mm-hmm. At 2, you're very head-to-head, and that catch the leader is punishing, because then it's like, you're going to get smacked with it each round. The other guy's going to get the bonus each round. And you're like, I'm doing so well. Why am I being punished for this every time? Adjust the rules as you want to. But in a 4-player game, it seemed much more spread. The people's income levels were kind of jumping throughout the course of the game. It was a little bit easier. It seemed less brutal when everybody suffered that global than when just the leader suffers it. Yeah, your gameplay will change a little bit per player count. It didn't bother me any, unless we played it wrong. I don't think the rules really changed significantly between 2 to 4 players. You still use the same amount of board space, the same number of options still come out, the same number of cards are revealed each round. You still take the same number of punishment. I think you could probably adjust that just a little bit to make it less brutal in a 2-player game, but it was nice that we didn't have to reset the whole board and have a bunch of things covered and all that kind of goofy stuff for different player counts. Yeah,
you just end up managing more things. So instead of the board starting locations being split between 4 people, it's only split between 2. So you're going to have more discs and things to manage, but that's really the only difference. Everything else in the game is going to play the same way, like you said.
Yeah. So if you enjoy sci-fi themed games, if you like games that have area influence and area control but aren't wholly dependent on it, if you like games that take it says 90 minutes on the box. I think it probably takes 2 hours at least with 4 players. It's going to be longer for your player count.
For players, yeah.
But it is easy to understand and play because of the way the game boards are set up, which I really enjoyed. I feel like there's plenty of replayability in it because your in-game goals and the cards that come out are going to really shape and shift the ways that you try to own the board and have different strategies. And I enjoyed this one a bunch. Yeah. Even the last time when she crushed me by 9 points. So it was good stuff. If you guys might enjoy it, check it out. And then as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, following along to our videos here at Tantrum House.